Before we get very far into our next story, we do have a warning for you tonight. What you're about to see and hear may not be suitable for children. Tonight, take a walk in their world.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of the I Am Melting Transpicuous News. It is July 10th, and I'm back to give you another geomagnetic update because the insanity persists. It's not going away, and it is definitely on the increase. So, without further ado, let us go take a look at the space weather. Non-stop. I put out a report yesterday. I watched it all night. I almost was going to put another report at midnight last night. I was just so tired, though. I just couldn't pull it off. I did post some photos or screenshots of some of the hits that were going on yesterday evening. And it's continued today, and it's actually increased. So I'll run this through with you guys really quick. We start at last night just around 8 o'clock. And again, 8 o'clock seems to be one of those magic numbers. 8 o'clock, between 8 and 10, and then 4. Strange. So I'm going to show you the magnetopause is relatively calm. You can see it's heaving quite a bit. We have a little bit of distortion, etc., till we get to about 2200, and then it starts its crunch dance. This goes on for quite a bit. I'll fast forward you through, and you can see, again, the double rings here. We've got the two bows here at the front and the hot spots at the back. I'll show you when we get through till come at 4 o'clock in the morning. Boom. Next major hit comes in, and you can see how completely compressed the magnetopause is. It's pushed right in towards Earth. That goes on. From that point there, we start getting a lot more distortion in the morning time. I'm going through this really fast for you guys. You can see here we get to 8 o'clock in the morning. Funny that. You can see the distortion starts there. I'll just hit play. You can see the distortion all over the way. It's being compressed. We have just major crunches happening, not just at the north, but at the south as well, much like we saw last week. And that continues on and on again. All day long, it just keeps going. Okay, we're at 11 o'clock this morning. It starts to calm ever so slightly down a little bit. We can still see the high pressure here, just contorting the south edge. Now, over here to the magnetosphere. I'm going to make this a little bigger so it's clearer to see. Again, we're starting at 2100, okay? I'm just going to show you through. I'm going to hit play on this one so you can see. You're going to see we've had continuous distortions. Then the first blast comes in at 2200. Massive one. That's in the size and scale of what we were seeing in January at midnight blast. 2300, it keeps up. And you can see not only the intensity here and the pushback on the magnetopause, but you can see the tangling of the lines. The south lines keep cutting out, literally getting completely cut off, and we see all the bowing and the warping of the interplanetary magnetic lines, the IMF lines. Coming up at 3 o'clock, boom, there's the 4 o'clock in the morning shot. Huge. And you'll see that this, while it calms down slightly for a moment, it just keeps pushing through, and it is just wave after wave coming in. It's been nonstop now, pretty much for almost 4 days solidly. And you can see the heaving of the magnetopauses. These waves are literally continuously coming through. 8 o'clock going to 9 o'clock in the morning. Things start to calm a little bit more here to the center. It doesn't last very long though. And away we go again. We're coming on noon. They said things seem to calm down, and then you get the next blast is just comes straight through. Now what's interesting is, so I said yesterday in the report, that unexpected CME that they didn't see coming, it just appeared. It's like the fourth or fifth one in the last 3 months. Wasn't CME as I call it. That's NASA's swamp gas reflecting the light of Venus answer to this kind of stuff. Going to show you and we knew there was a coronal hole, very small one I will say, but that they were expecting an increase in the coronal hole speeds. Now if I can find that feed, there we go. We'll take you here and I'll show you we do have a very, very big increase in coronal hole speeds. We basically, I'm just going to flash you right through this very, very quickly. It never drops below 600 from this point. We did hit 1200 at 2100 just before 10 o'clock last night. It hit 1200 throughout the day. You'll see as these blasts are coming in, it never drops below 600 again. It hovers 600-700. We hit 1000. We hit 1100 a couple of times, and that is the increase. So we can see here, just over 1000 kilometers per second for the solar wind velocity. Okay, but it is still hovering at that high 6, low 700 kilometers a second, which we expected because of the solar wind stream. Now here's the thing. So here's our data, solar wind velocity. So there's our increase. There's our spikes that we did see these spikes on July 8th and on July 7th. And you see the increase of the solar wind stream coming in. But they're saying maximum is just below 700, which again, it's the same thing that we saw back in January. This doesn't account for the huge spikes that we see when it reaches up to, as we just saw, 1200, 1100 kilometers a second. They're not represented in these graphs. I don't know. So the incoming last night did trigger a geomagnetic storm. Nothing too major. It was a G1. There was 2 of them technically. One was just after 1800 yesterday evening, and again just after 6 o'clock this morning. If you were feeling a little wiped out today, like everyone else I've spoken to, it's been kind of crazy. Solar ham, again, we can see the stuff going on here, the geomagnetic storms. Now we see here in the wind speeds, right? Here's our uptick in wind speeds, but again, it's showing, this one graph is showing it under 500, or just 450, just under 500. Again, doesn't account for what we just saw when we saw it hitting 1100, 1200, and the density is extremely low. Now, I want to show you, we did have a spike in the Schumann resonance last night into this morning. This would have been our, this is Tomsk, Russia. They're 7 hours ahead of UTC. So this that's showing starting at around 2100, that's 2100 Tomsk time. So you got a minus 7 hours to UTC on that one. So that basically played out all day yesterday. I can't find a correlation because it's never the same. We see a hit. Sometimes we see the Schumann go up. Sometimes we just don't see the Schumann go up. What was I just going to show you? So we looked at the heli plots. Again, seismic activity back to pretty much normal again. The graphs are pretty calm. What am I going to tell you? We have space weather. They're talking about pretty auroras because that's what they're apparently interested in. Pretty auroras. We go back to, hold on. And we come back to our same questions. No answers. Solar wind stream, yep. Coronal hole, yep. Okay. Still doesn't account for those big ass spikes. Still doesn't account for the hits that we saw come in that were not part of that solar wind stream. The solar wind stream may have pushed it a little, exacerbated it, if you will, but it certainly didn't cause that. And we don't get any answers. So, yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little update and say, as I keep saying, I'm watching it and I'll let you know if I see anything different. That's it for me. Ciao.